So we're going to get into it. So first of all, I want to talk just a little bit about why following up is so critical. You guys have heard the saying over and over and over again that the fortune is in the follow-up. And what most people don't understand is that in network marketing, we tend to do an okay job at getting people in front of the information, and then we don't take the time to follow up. Let me show you how crucial it is. So first of all, and this is just sales in general, but I think that these percentages cross over into the network marketing industry as well. 48% of salespeople, so just replace salespeople because we're not necessarily salespeople here, but replace 48% of that, the word salespeople with network marketing professionals. 48% of network marketing professionals never follow up with a prospect. Think about that, 50%, 1 in 2 people. You want to stand out from the crowd, just follow up even one time. 25% of network marketing professionals make a second contact and then they stop. 12% of people only make 3 contacts and they stop. Only 10% of network marketing professionals are more than 3 contacts. Now take a look at these numbers. 2% of the actual sale that is made is actually made on the first contact. Just 2%. 2%, 3% on the second, 5% on the third, 10% on the fourth contact, and 80% of sales are made on the 5th through the 12th contact. That's crazy. I want you guys just to think about those numbers for just a moment, and hopefully that helps you to understand why it's so critical. So the first thing that I'm going to encourage you to do is to get organized. You know, for years, you guys, for years, I used the excuse that I'm not a detail-oriented person. I'm not. I'm like the least detail-oriented person. And how many of you guys, just out of show of hands, are not detail-oriented people? Raise your hand. Jason, I got Jason raising his hand. David's not raising his hand. So Ryan, you're detail-oriented, huh? I am definitely not. And I used that as an excuse for a long time. Jackie Taft, all I see is a hand. I love it. I am definitely not detail-oriented. And here's the thing. I used that as an excuse for years. And I just went on what was in memory. And I have to tell you guys that I constantly forgot to follow up with people, and I had money following through the cracks. And so the first thing that you need to do is you need to get yourself a follow-up journal or a follow-up notebook. And all it is used, the only thing that goes in there are your follow-ups, the people that you're talking to on a regular basis. What I typically do now is I add them to the follow-up notebook once I have put them in process. And then I have my own little system. And it doesn't matter to me what system that you guys use. The only thing that is important to me, whether you use tags in your system and you're very organized, or if you've just got some manual system, you got to have some kind of a follow-up system. You can use a detailed spreadsheet. But the things that I'm looking for are, number one, when I put their name into the journal, I know they're now in process. And I have an objective. My objective, quite frankly, is to cross their name out of my journal as quickly as possible. I want to collect a decision. And my mentality is if I go for no's, I'm going to find yeses along the way. And when somebody gives me a no, I'm not disappointed about it. So the name always goes in. And then from there, what I'm doing is I'm circling them when they've either purchased a product from me or they've enrolled into my business. And so the goal is and I'm going to have a lot more lines crossed out through the people that are in that book than I do circles. But every single week, I have a page, and that page is who I'm following up with. And ultimately, I can tell you who I followed up with last week and whether or not there's a line through them, whether there's a circle around them, or whether there's some notes to carry them over to the next week as well. So that's the first thing that you need to do is you need to get organized. Okay, the other thing that you need to understand is your role when it comes to following up. Our goal as network marketing professionals, you guys have heard me share this a couple of different times, okay? And I'm going to share this with you again. For those of you that haven't heard it, get my whiteboard out. All right, so we have a couple of different responsibilities, right? If you really were to break down your job description as a network marketing professional, okay, here's what it looks like. Number one, we notify people of what we're up to, right? We notify people of what we're up to. Number two, we invite them to take a closer look, okay? Number two is we invite them to take a closer look. Number three is we follow up and we answer questions. Right? We answer questions. Questions are a good thing. Behind every single question is a sincere interest. And number four is we collect decisions. right? We collect decisions. That's the ultimate goal, but not just any decision. We want to collect well-informed decisions. You see, in network marketing especially, people have this preconceived notion about network marketing. Drop an I into the comment section if you had some preconceived notions about network marketing when you first kind of were introduced or invited or exposed to the business. Just out of curiosity, how many of you had some kind of preconceived notion, you weren't really sure about it? Drop an I into the comment section. So I imagine that a good majority of you had some preconceived notions. And what tends to happen, just so you guys know, is a lot of times network marketers tend to give the presentation during the invitation process. They tend to say way too much. How many of you have just gotten excited, you couldn't help yourself, you got on the phone with somebody, and you just data dumped on them? You told them everything about the company, everything about the product, everything about the opportunity, the fact that we're in pre-launch, that we're the only company that offers DNA nutrition, it's made just for you, and you know what, we've got the one and only Nutritionator, and blah, 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 blah. And the people that are on the other end of the line are like, oh my gosh, right? Here's the thing, everybody wants to buy, but nobody wants to be sold. And so what happens is a lot of times, we tend to approach people, they put up a wall on a subconscious level. And we have to learn to navigate around that subconscious level professionally. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. That's the entire, everything that I share with you tonight is designed to navigate around that initial wall of skepticism. We are helping them we are educating and informing people. We're not selling, we're educating and we're informing so that ultimately we can collect a decision. And I don't mind if somebody gives me the wrong, if they tell me no. I don't mind at all. Some will, some won't, so what next, right? SW, SW, SWN. But I do mind if somebody says no, but they don't know what they're saying no to, okay? What you guys have to understand is that everyone is not at high noon, okay? You've got your clock. What is high noon? So high noon, right, is when high noon is somebody that's sick and tired of being sick and tired. Somebody that is tired of their job. They're tired of being broke. They're tired of, not having enough money to be able to pay off their bills at the end of the month. They're stressed out. They don't have enough money to put their kids through college. They don't have enough money to be able to live in retirement. And you know what? They've reached a point in their life where they say, I got to find something. They're looking for solutions. And these are the people that we're really looking for. We're looking for the people that are at high noon. And along the way, when you guys are prospecting, you're going to be meeting people that are at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6, 7, all the way around the clock. You're going to be meeting people that are at different times. But here's the thing. The reason why I want to make sure that my process is solid, both not only the invitation, and by the way, I am going to be talking about the invitation process tonight because you can't talk about following up without understanding a proper way to invite. You have to understand that the follow-up process begins during the invitation process. But for me, this entire process that I take my prospects through is to educate and inform, right? Educate and inform. And the reason why I want to do that is because I know that at some point in their life, even if they're at 3 o'clock and they're not ready today, when something happens and all of a sudden they are at 12 noon, I want them to think about me. Okay, I'm going to give you guys an example. So Elise Williams, who many of you guys have seen, she's tearing it up. She just hit Shaker today. Congratulations, Elise. She's been in the business less than 30 days. She's rank advanced 4 times. She hit the 14-day bonus. She hit the 30-day bonus. She's almost on her way to hitting the 60-day bonus. She's kicking butt. She's doing a great job on her lives. She does lives every single day. If you don't follow her, go check her out because you can learn something from her. And she's got a great way of harvesting leads from those lives that she's doing. So I reached out to Elise in October of last year. I reached out to her in October of last year. In fact, she was probably one of the first 20 people I reached out to. And she came back and she said, you know what, Travis, I'm not looking right now. I'm not interested. And she didn't, really take that close of a look. But I at least piqued her interest enough that she kind of kept paying attention. And she's been watching the different stories that I've been doing out there on Facebook and on Instagram. She's been watching and watching and watching. She was promoting another company. But something shifted with that company. Something changed. And she all of a sudden went from 3 o'clock to high noon. She was thinking, maybe I need to start looking for something else. And you know what? She reached out to me and said, I think it's time that I take a closer look. So that's the entire point of making sure that you are constantly educated and informing and you're staying in front of everyone. So that's the first talking point is number one, not everyone is at high noon, okay? Number two, you need to exercise some patience with some urgency, right? Everything that I do, the language that I use, my two favorite words that I use, and you will hear me use over and over and over again, is right now. Right now. Ryan, this is happening right now. This company is just coming together right now. They haven't even officially launched yet. Literally, it's the friends and family stage where, you know, the friends and family have an opportunity to get a first mover's advantage, to be able to get positioned and get aligned with this company before this thing really even launches. It's all happening right now. If I sent you over some information, would you be willing to take a look at it? Yes, great. When do you think you can watch it? Everything with me is about urgency. Now, why do I say patience? Because are your prospects going to move on your time frame, just out of curiosity? Wouldn't it be nice? It doesn't work that way. They've got children, they've got work, they've got life, they've got things that are happening, right? So for them, it's going to be on their time, it's not going to be on yours. And the one thing that you have to understand about network marketing is there's this effort and reward curve that everybody, you know, I would say is responsible for, you know, taking out a large majority of network marketers. And here's what it looks like, right? So let's say that this is the effort and this is the reward, okay? In the beginning, your effort is way up here, but unfortunately, your income is down here. So in traditional jobs or linear income, we're used to getting paid a certain amount of money for an exchange of time. That's what we've been trained to do since we were little. Go to school, get good grades, get an education so you can get a job so you can do what? So you can make money. That's what we were trained to do. So what happens is you come in and your effort's up here. And you might do that for 30 days. You might do that for 60 days. I remember about 90 to 120 days into my first company, I said to Summer, I don't even know why I'm doing this. I can make more money on an hourly basis at McDonald's than I am making right now. How many of you guys have felt that way before? I literally said, and I almost quit. I was like, this is worth my time. I think I made like $4.14 in an hour working this business when I first got started. But here's what happens. As you keep going, eventually your income starts to go up, and it'll kind of fluctuate. It'll start to go up. But eventually, there's this period where they meet. There's this period where they meet, and then it's like, okay. You know, this is a good check. I'm starting to make a little bit of money. You know, this isn't so bad. But then here's what happens. This keeps going. And I'm not saying that your effort has to go down, but when in relationship to the income, this is where the leverage kicks in. This is where all of a sudden you've got hundreds of team members and thousands of team members and 5,000 team members, and it's no longer just based on you. It's based on, you know, would you rather get paid 1% of 100 people's efforts or 100% of your own, right? You would rather get paid 100 or 1% of 100 people's efforts. Network marketing is about getting paid a little bit of money off of a lot of people that are just doing a little bit. And even when it comes to following up, you have to exercise some patience, okay? So that's number 2 talking point. Number 3 is it's gonna take multiple exposures. We've shown you the statistics already, but what you have to understand is it's all about moving people from one exposure to the next in as short a period of time as possible. Okay, if you're taking notes, I want you to draw an upside down. We won't use the word pyramid. Let's use the word triangle. The word pyramid is kind of where we don't use that word. So upside down triangle, okay? So this is what the process looks like, okay? So first of all, number 1, everything starts with what? A conversation. Conversations. If you're not having conversations, you're dead in the water. This is the key, the starting point to your success in business. You've got to have conversations. You've got to learn those basic fundamentals of how to have a conversation, which questions to ask. We're going to talk about those tonight, okay? So it is going to take multiple exposures. So you start off with a conversation that usually leads to what? An invitation. Well, an invitation to do what? Usually, probably the most common step is that 7-minute mission nutrition video. Okay, but is that enough to get somebody to join your business or to buy the products? Most cases, it's not. At this point, that's interesting. They see that and go, yeah, that's interesting, and then they're going to get busy with their life. And in some cases, they might not even watch that video. There's a process that you have to take them through to increase the percentages that they're actually going to follow through. We're going to talk about that. And then from there, what happens? Now, you might ATM them. For those of you that don't know what that stands for, it stands for add, tag, and message. You might ATM them into our DNA Nutrition Testimonials group. You add them to the group, you tag them on some of the testimonials on where they can get started, and then you do a message, a text message chain or a Facebook message chain with yourself and several of your upline leaders introducing your prospect to your upline leaders. So if they have any questions, they're there to support them. So that might be the next exposure. And then from there, they now have some more questions. And ultimately, those questions, behind those questions is a sincere interest. So at that point, you might introduce them, do a three-way call. You might introduce them to somebody who's got an amazing testimonial. All of this ultimately leads to collecting decisions. Okay? This process, and the key, just so that you understand, and I'm going to talk a lot about this, is I never have a conversation. I never have an exposure. You know what my number one goal is when I have an exposure? It's to get to the next exposure. So when I'm having conversations, my ultimate goal is to schedule the next conversation. Every single exposure that I have is all about doing one thing, getting into the next exposure. So you have to know your role. I want you guys to write down, know your role. Your role is not to convince people to buy the products. Okay? You're not here to sell people into the business. You're not here to convince them to do the business either. That's not your role. Your role is to simply notify people of what you're up to, invite them to take a closer look, and move them from one exposure to the next in a shorter period of time to do what? To educate and inform so that we can do what? Collect decisions. And some of you guys, you freak yourself out in your mind on even having that conversation because you think that you are a salesperson or you have to be a salesperson or you've got to be this amazing persuasive individual that's going to try and get them into the business and what's going to happen if they ask all these questions you don't know the answers to, and it's just so much that you don't do anything, when in all reality, you don't need to know that information. What you need to be able to do is to be able to point and say, just go here. Yeah, that's a great question. Let me get you the information. So what you're doing is you're just moving them from one exposure to the next in as short a period of time as possible. So again, my goal is to use third-party edification tools to help them understand what it is that we are doing, okay? That's the third talking point. Now, the next one is you need to understand that questions and objections are natural. It means that they're interested in learning more. Even if they have objections, it means that they're, like somebody might say, well, I don't know if this is this really custom? Is this really customized? Or are they really, really testing is it really unique to me? Like those are objections. Right? But those are objections that are questions that they're wanting information. And behind those questions is a sincere interest. So during the follow-up process, what you need to understand is that is natural and questions are actually our friend. Objections are actually our friend. That's okay. Okay? And again, and I'm going to say this one more time, the only reason to start the conversation is to invite to an exposure and to start the next conversation. Our job is to keep the conversation going. That's it. That's our job. It's to keep the conversation going. Now, some of you, you look at this and say, okay, I'm confused. Should I lead with the product or should I lead with the business opportunity? Okay? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. You need to be equipped with both systems. And I would encourage you to go with what works best for you. So there's really 4 systems that you need to have in place that a team has to have in place. And this is what I'm always analyzing at the team level to make sure that we are providing what we need to provide to make sure that you are successful. So let's talk about what those systems are, okay? So first of all, you need to have a good customer acquisition system, okay? So you need to have a good customer acquisition system. Do you guys think we have a good customer acquisition system? Very, very simple customer acquisition. It's just conversations, right? Just to recap it really quickly, you're starting off the conversation by reconnecting with somebody. So I'm just reconnecting. Let's just say I was reconnecting with Garth, and I just say, hey, Garth, how's the family? How's life treating you? What's new and exciting in your world? Garth says, oh, we're doing great. We've been doing all these mailbox dancing videos, and you know what? They're fun and hilarious, and everybody's asking me what we're up to, and it's just crazy. I say, okay, cool. Hey, Garth, let me ask you a question. And I always say, humor me on this, because it's kind of a rhetorical question, but humor me on this. Do you value your health, Garth? Right? Do you value your health? This is just the conversation I'm having. Do you value your health? And then, Garth sometimes doesn't answer just in person. He'll just flex. And that's enough for you to know that he values his health, right? So Garth doesn't always answer. He just flexes his arms. And so Garth says, yes. Look at him. I'm embarrassing him. So Garth says, yes, I value my health, right? So then I know he's going to say yes. I've never had anybody go, you know what? I just don't value my health, but thanks for asking. I did have somebody once go, well, yes and no, but it was actually a good thing because he said, well, yes, I value my health, but no, I'm not doing what I need to take care of myself. I'm like, sweet. I mean, I could have stopped right there and said, maybe I can help, right? But I keep going. So that's number 2. And then I go into number 3 and just says, well, listen, do you take vitamins or supplements on a regular basis, right? These are all questions. You're going to notice that there's a theme to everything that I do. It's questions. If I'm not asking questions to help them come to a realization, then I'm selling and I'm pitching. Or I'm convincing. I'm trying to convince them they need a product. I'm selling. When that happens, what happens to them? They put up a wall on a subconscious level. So questions are always the answer. You're going to see that throughout the entire theme of the information that I share with you tonight. So I'm always just asking questions to help them come to the realization on their own, rather than me saying, you need this. You got to have this. You got to try this. It's so amazing for you. Those are all sales type of statements that tend to push people into a corner where they're backing them into a corner and they're not interested. They put up that wall. So do you take vitamins or supplements on a regular basis? He says, yes. I say, great. Are they generic or custom? Right? Are they generic or custom? He says, well, what do you mean? I says, well, do you order them online or were they made for you by a doctor? He says, well, they're generic. And then I just say, well, listen, if all things were equal and you are now given the choice to be able to have a DNA test that allows you to be able to determine which genes that you've inherited that are linked to major illness and disease, and then you were able to have a custom vitamin and supplement that was made to combat those dirty genes, in some cases even alter the expression of those genes. If all things were equal, would you still take the custom or would you take the generic? He says, well, I would, of course, take custom, right? Oh, well, maybe I can help, right? So now I'm no longer selling. I've positioned myself as somebody that can help him get what he wants. He'd rather have custom than generic. And then all I say, and by the way, this is all written down in our customer acquisition program under scripts, in units, in legacy for you. What I say is, maybe I can help. Garth, listen, here's what I'd love to do with your permission. I'd love to send you a 7-minute video that just explains the product and the process. There's 0 expectations. The only thing that I ask is that if you like what you see, that you'll stop buying vitamins online from a company that you don't even know and that you'll be my customer. And in return, I'll give you something much more custom for you. How does that sound to you? Okay? Now, my objective was to do what, right? Go back to my little upside down triangle. And that entire thing, right? If I'm here, that entire conversation, that was all right here. That entire conversation was to do one thing, to get him here. That was my objective. My objective was not to sell him, to close him, to convince him. I had one objective. It was to get him here. But here's what you have to understand, and this is how this all ties into the follow-up process, okay? Just because he said yes doesn't mean that he's actually going to follow through and watch that video based on your guys' experience. Does everybody just go, oh yeah, and then they do exactly what you want them to do? There's probably about a 20, if I had to gauge it, there's about a 20 to 30% chance that he's actually going to do it. And then even if I ended the conversation right there, which some of you have done, many of you have done, how hard is it going to be for me to get him back on a phone call? It's going to be very, very difficult, right? How would you like to improve that yes, to get them to about 80% and know exactly when you're going to talk to them again? It's a simple process. And this is probably where most people are falling short. And this is why I say that the follow-up starts during the invitation process, okay? So when he says yes, Garth, do you mind unmuting for just a moment? I'll unmute you. All right. So we're gonna. So again, just kind of going back real quickly. So Garth, how's life? How's treating you? He says life's good. Hey, listen, do you value your health? He says yes. And I said, do you take vitamins, custom or generic? He says they're generic. If you had the choice between custom and generic, which would you choose? He says custom. I said, great. Maybe I can help. Listen, with your permission, here's what I'd like to do. Remember, I don't send a video unless I never send an unsolicited video. I always get permission first. So with your permission, Garth, what I would love to do is I'd love to just send you a 7-minute video that explains the product and process of what it is that we do. And I have zero expectations. If you like what you see, then I'd love for you to be my customer instead of buying from High Health. And in return, I'll give you something more custom. How does that sound to you, Garth?
No, that sounds good. I'm interested.
Okay, cool. Now, here's what you got to do, guys. When do you think you might be able to watch it, Garth?
You know what? I'll watch it later tonight after I get the kids to bed.
Okay, I just got Garth to say yes a second time. So now it's about a 40% chance he's going to follow through, okay? So, by the way, I don't make a suggestion. I don't say, hey, could you watch it tonight or could you watch it right away? I just ask the question, when do you think you can watch it? He says, oh, I can watch it tonight after the kids go to bed. Okay, cool. So if I followed up with you, so now I'm going to confirm, if I followed up with you tomorrow, you'll have had a chance to watch it?
Yes.
Okay, there's a third yes. Okay, guys, now he's up to about 60-70% that he's going to do what I ask him to do. But I still don't know exactly when. I'm still chasing. So I say, great. When is the best time for me to reach you tomorrow, Garth?
You know what? Tomorrow, between 5 and 6.
Okay, perfect. So now between 5 and 6, I've got you on my calendar. I will give you a call. And I look forward to chatting with you a little bit more about this. What happens now is in Garth's mind, there's an appointment that's set. He has to watch the video before then because he knows I'm going to be calling. And I have him on my calendar. And there's now about a 70 to 80% chance he's going to follow through. As opposed to, go ahead.
Quick question, Travis. What if that time frame doesn't work for you?
I would say, you know what, I actually have an appointment between 5 and 6, but would 6:30 work for you? And I would just find a time that would work. So the point here is that you've got to take it a little bit further. You've got to go just a little bit further, because if you don't, what's going to happen? Here's what tends to happen in network marketing. So we say yes, we get people to say yes here. We send out, and we might do 20, 30, 40, 50 of these when we're first launching. And then we kind of just wait and see what people say, and a week goes by, and now we're chasing people. And then by the time you get on the phone with them, it's a distant memory, right? Because there's no sense of urgency. And I want you to write this down. Without a sense of urgency, all value is lost. Without a sense of urgency, all value is lost. So everything that I'm doing is focused around, like, remember, my job is to have a conversation so that I can get to the next conversation, right? So I get to the next conversation, and then I want to get him to the next thing so I can have the next conversation with him. So ultimately, so from there, if he watches a 7-minute video, what I might do next, if he's local, I just say, listen, hey, when I follow up with him, hey, did you watch that video that I sent you? Yeah, and I'll talk about what you say in just a second. What did you like best? And we talk a little bit and say, great, listen, can I buy you a cup of coffee on Thursday? If it's local, can I buy you a cup of coffee? If not, it's, hey, look, love to sit down and take you through the entire process when you have a little bit of time this week. When's a good time for you? So I'm just moving them to the next exposure. Or I might move them to the DNA nutrition group. And then I might move them to the Dr. Jen video, or I might, depending on what questions that they have. So this is critical, you guys. I never end an exposure without knowing when I'm going to talk to the next person. You've got to make sure that you follow it up. And all it is when do you think you might be able to do it? So whatever the answer, you always just go out a day. So if I call you on Tuesday, you'll have had a chance to watch it. Yes, great. When should I call you? Boom, you fill your calendar book and go on. Okay, I'm going to pause. Any questions so far? Okay, I'm going to keep rolling. All right, so very, very important that you understand that, that whole process of just getting people, because, and this is the same, just so you guys know, we were talking about different systems, right? So different systems. So what I just shared with you was our customer, I call it our CAP program, CAP program. Okay, that's our customer acquisition program. Having conversations. I can't think of an easier way to build this business than what I just shared with you. I literally cannot think of a simpler way, because 80%, here's the stats, of the people that you are talking to in the United States United States are already buying supplements, and they're spending $140+ a month on average. So if they're already spending the money, all you've got to do is get them to stop spending it there and spend it with you, and in return, you give them something more custom. Right? So if you know that, then it's just a simple process, okay? We'll talk about cost and objections in just a moment. You bet. Thank you for that. So cost. All right. So that's our customer acquisition program. Now, we also have to have a business acquisition program. I don't know, we'll call it the BAT program. I don't have a name for that one yet. So business acquisition program. So business acquisition program, guys, it looks the same. It looks the same. Starts with a conversation, and then it goes to the 7-minute video, then it goes to a full 30-minute overview, or a live presentation that you do with them or with your upline. Then it goes to, if you need to, another 3-way call. And then if they haven't given you a decision yet, then you use a call like tomorrow night and say, hey, listen, there's this call happening tomorrow night. And I know that we've talked, and you've kind of been looking at this passively, but the guy that's hosting the call is the #1 earner in the entire company. He's got an amazing story. And he's going to be talking about how he did it and how he's created this business in Euphoria in less than a year that's just exploding. I just thought you might want to listen in. Would you like for me to send you the link? So I might use that and that person's story. It doesn't have to be my story. It could be whoever's doing the presentation. I'm just happen to be doing the presentation tomorrow night as the next exposure, right? Because until he gives me a decision, somebody says to me, well, how long do I follow up? The follow-up process never ends until I get a decision. The follow-up process never ends. It's as long as it takes to collect a decision, period. Right? And it's one thing I would also tell you is it's not about, a lot of people, you might only get a smaller percentage of these people that you're talking to. You might put 100 people in here and only 5 to 10 come out here. But understand this, it's not about how many people that you put in, it's about how many people that you keep. It's not about how many people that you get, it's about how many people that you keep. And a lot of people forget that too. That's a whole nother training as well. So our business acquisition program is very, very similar. The only difference is the conversation that I'm having. Okay, and I'm just going to teach you some real basics. Now I'm going to teach you what I say, and just to give you because there's no one size fits all, but I want to just give you an example of one way that works really, really well. So I need a volunteer that'll role play with me. Who wants to volunteer?
I'll do it.
Summer, okay. I love that. Follow up until they buy or die. Can we get that on a shirt?
That's a great shirt.
Okay, so here's the question, Summer. So I reach out to Summer. Summer, you and I have known each other. Let's say we've known each other for years, but we don't talk all the time, but once or twice a year. Let's say I followed up with you and I said, hey, Summer, how's life treating you? What's new and exciting in your world? What would you say?
Just took my kids to school today for their first day. My daughter's very first day of preschool altogether. So it's been crazy and hectic.
Oh my gosh. I got to know, did you shed a tear when you watched her walk away for the first time?
Yes and no. It was really sad, but at the same time, I was really excited.
I totally excited. Here, take it. Awesome. Well, how's everything else going? Business going good for you? Work going good for you guys?
I've just been staying at home. We can't afford childcare it's pointless for me to work because childcare is so expensive, but we're trying to buy a home. So at the same time, it's really frustrating that I don't work.
So things are a little bit tight right now.
No.
Okay. So I don't even need to ask, by the way, I ask questions because I'm looking for information that she might give me that will allow me to think. So in this scenario, I don't even have to say the next question, but here's what I would have asked had she not said the type for her. I would have said, hey, Summer, let me ask you another question. Are you making more money than you can spend right now?
Oh, never.
And I always laugh when I say that. This is my signature question. Are you making more money than you can spend right now? Here's why. This is such a great question. You know why? Because I've never had somebody go, you know what? I'm making so much money I can't afford to spend it all, but thanks for it. No one has ever said that to me. So now, here's what I really want to know. Summer, are you open to making more money right now?
Oh, heck yeah.
So now I've established that she's open. And that's all I need to know, is I just need to know they're open. So this process was all designed just to help me establish that she's open. And now here's what I'm going to do. Summer, I'm really excited. I've come across something that is keeping me up at night. I got to tell you that I think that this is going to be, I think that Summer and I are going to make a fortune over the next 12 to 18 months. And better yet, we have the ability to be able to help a few of our friends as well. Now, Summer, if I said that to you, what would you say?
I want to know what you're doing.
You should ask, right? Do you guys see what I just did? In a matter of 30 seconds or less, without mentioning the name Euphoria, without mentioning the name DNA Nutrition, I got her to say, what is it? Funny you should ask, right? Well, listen, Summer, I don't have time to get into the details right now, but listen, and I want you guys to write these words down because these words have made me millions of dollars. If a little 7-minute video that just kind of gave you a teaser of what I was working on. Would you be willing to watch it? What would you say?
Sure. Send it over.
So when do you think you might be able to watch it?
I could tonight after I put the kids down.
Okay, so if I called you tomorrow, you'll have had a chance to watch it?
Yeah.
Okay, what time tomorrow is best for me to follow up?
Probably either early morning or around like 1.
Okay, so 10 or 1, which one's better for you?
Probably 10.
10. Perfect. Thanks so much. I've got to run. I'm so excited to talk to you more about this, but things are just going crazy right now. I've got about 15 more calls I have to make, but I will call you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Sound good?
Okay.
Boom. You guys see that I just got Summer to go to the next exposure without mentioning the name Euphoria or DNA Nutrition or sharing anything about what it is that I'm doing. It's not that I don't want to share that information. Here's what you have to understand. Some of you guys are great salespeople. You can get on a phone call and you can sell the HE double hockey stick out of them. But here's what you don't understand. Your teammates can't do the same thing, so you're never going to create duplication in your business. Been there, done that. Trust me. So it's not what works. I want you to write this down. It's not what works that matters. It's what duplicates that matters. And a lot of leaders in this profession will teach you just what works, but it's not what works. If you want to build a big organization, it's what duplicates. Everything that I do has to come from a place of duplication. Because I know that 80 to 90% of the people on my team don't have the same skill sets or the ability, the confidence or whatever it is, the posture or the belief system yet to be able to get on a phone call with somebody and go, look, we're locking arms, Garth. You and I are doing this. We're going to go make a fortune together, right? Now, so all of us, and again, one size doesn't fit all, and that's why mastering the invitation and the trainings that Eric Worre teaches and mastering this book right here is so critical because it gives you all of the language to use. But the point is, this is our business acquisition program. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. So all I'm doing is I'm just going through the exposure process. The only difference is now I'm going to put them in front of a 30-minute overview. And I'm usually going to do that around the first or the second exposure. Now, some people, just to be honest with you, I reached out to them and said, listen, what's new and exciting? Are you making more money than you can spend? No. Are you open? Great. Listen, I've got something, Garth. I've got something big that's come across my desk. Summer and I haven't slept for days. This is going to be the biggest thing that we have ever done before. And the people that lock arms with us right now, they're going to make a fortune. Now, Garth's going to go, what is it? Garth, I'd love to get into it right now. I don't have all the detailed time to give you the information, but if I send you over a short presentation, 30 minutes long, that just explains what we're doing, would you be willing to watch it? Let me know what you think. If I've got somebody, for me personally, just so you guys know, when it's the business approach, I typically, unless I know they're very, their focus is, they don't have a long span of focus. If they're very busy and short-minded, I'll send them the 7-minute first, but I usually just send them a 30-minute presentation. And some of you are going to say, well, which presentations do I send? I've got a whole arsenal of them. I keep them on my YouTube channel for a reason, because I want to be able to go and access Ron's presentations, sometimes Summer and I, if it's a couple doing it together, sometimes me solo in a very professional way in a PowerPoint, because I'm dealing with a professional and I think you need to match whatever style is to the person. If they're more casual, I might do more one of the group presentations. So I have an arsenal of different styles, and I call them little tools that I have in my toolbox. But all of this is the same thing, okay? So this is leading up to now what I want to share with you about the follow-up process. So are we good on understanding how the invitation really sets the stage for the follow-up? Everybody understand that? Okay. So this is what I want you guys to see. I'm going to give you guys a couple of different techniques when it comes to collecting decisions when you follow up. So here's the couple of different things that I like to say. And again, one size doesn't fit all, but I still believe that questions are the answers, okay? So let's say that I just followed this exact approach that I just shared with Garth on the business side, or with Summer on the business side. I would follow up, and the first question that I'm going to ask Summer is, what did you like best about what you saw? I didn't say, what did you think? Right? I'm not going to give her a reason to do anything other than give me a positive response. I'm soliciting a positive response. And then here's what I'm going to say. Summer, let me ask you a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being that you have 0 interest and 10 being that you're ready to get started right now, where are you? Okay. Now, go ahead, Summer. You can. Where are you at, Summer?
I was gonna say a 4.
A 4, perfect. So here's the thing. No one ever is going to come to you and say 10. I know that. That's okay. There's only one number that takes them out of the game, by the way, and that is a 0. If somebody says, I'm a 0, I'm going to say, thanks for watching. By the way, do you take vitamins or supplements on a regular basis? And I'm going to switch over to the customer approach. Even if Garth says to me, I'm a 1, I'm going to say, well, in my mind, you know what that says to me? Well, there's still a chance. What that says to me is I've got a lot of work I can do. So you know what I'm going to say? Well, what do I need to do to get you to a 4 or 5, Garth? Well, I need to believe in the process a little bit more. I need to believe in the product a little bit more. That gives me an opening to put him in front of the next exposure, right? Now, if they say 6, 7, or 8, which is where most people will come in, here's what I say. Well, listen, based on what you've seen so far, if you were to get started with this company on a part-time basis, how much would you need to earn each month in order to make this worth your time? Guys, this is $1 million question. Why? Because it's no longer you trying to justify it to them. They're going to come up with a number that justifies it to themselves. Do you guys see that? Do you understand how that works? So now I'm just saying, listen, Garth, based on what you've seen so far, and this is if he was a 6, 7, or 8, if you were to get started with this company on a part-time basis, how much would you need to earn each month in order to make this worth your time? Now, I'm surprised, but people actually come in pretty low. Now, some people will throw stupid numbers out to you, but most of the time you'll get, I don't know, an extra $1,000, $2,000 a month would be cool. I'd be like, well, how would that make a difference? Summer would say, well, it would allow me to be able to, have a little more breathing room, a little more flexibility, right? To be able to have some other options. And then I go into this. Okay, cool. So about how many hours per week, Summer, would you commit to developing that kind of residual income? So Summer said she wanted to make an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month. My next question is going to be, cool, so how many hours per week would you commit to developing that kind of residual income? Summer, what would you say?
I could probably do at least 25.
Okay, so 25 hours a week to make an extra $1,000 to $2,000 per month working part-time from your home. Okay, and how many months would you work those 20 to 25 hours per week to get to that point of earning an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month?
I'd like to try to start making that much in at least 6 months.
Okay, so if I could show you a way to develop an income of $2,000 per month, working for 6 months, would you be ready to get started today?
Yeah.
Now, all I did is, she might say to me, by the way, well, I have some questions. That's okay. That's okay. You can ask him another question. You can ask him is, if they give you a 6, 7, or 8, Garth says, well, I'm a 6. Okay, Garth, what do we need to do to get you to a 9 or a 10? I would just need to learn more information about the product. Okay, cool. No problem. I'm going to add you to this DNA Nutrition Testimonials group. There's over 6,000 people that are in there that are sharing their experience of changing from generic to custom. The testimonials are amazing. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you a direct link that I want you to click on, and I want you to request to join. We'll add you, and then I'll tag you on some things just to take a look at. Does that sound good to you? When do you think you might be able to check it out if I tag you on it? Great. So if I followed up on Thursday, you'll have had a chance to look at some of those testimonials. Great. What time should I follow up with you again? Again, remember, I'm not getting off the phone without already scheduling the next conversation. So the questions are always the answers, you guys. Instead of me pitching and selling and closing, all I'm doing is answering questions. Okay, so this is one example of some questions. Now I'm going to give you a couple of others that I use. And this is about, I call this added value language. Okay, once you start to get really comfortable with the close, you can go this direction with it too. Okay, so let's say that I sent Garth the he said, yes, I'm willing to watch the 30-minute presentation. So we had a conversation. He now watched the 30-minute presentation. I've also added him to I've ATM'd him into our DNA nutrition group. So now here's what I'm going to do with Garth, okay? So we get on a phone call. He's seen the presentation. I ask him, what does he like best? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? He says, I'm a 7 or an 8, okay? I'm going to say, well, listen, another question that I love to ask, write this one down. Hey, Garth, is there any reason that you can think of why you wouldn't be successful in this environment? It's a great question, right? Because now Garth's going to tell me his reservations. Well, I don't know if I could do this. I'm not a salesperson. How many of you have gotten that? I'm not a salesperson. Now, here's why your invitation process is so important. I'm going to say, gosh, thank gosh, because salespeople really suck at this business, Garth. Let me tell you, let me kind of just rehash what we've done so far. So I reached out to you. We had a conversation about which supplements you were taking, and you told me that you would rather have custom, and I asked you to watch a 7-minute video. Garth, could you do that? Could you have a conversation and invite people to watch a 7-minute video? Garth says, yeah, I could do that. Okay, great. And then I followed up, and you had some questions, and I just added you to a DNA nutrition group and tagged you on some information. Could you do that? Well, yeah, I could do that. Okay, and then you had some additional questions, and so I introduced you to, my business partner that knows a lot more about the business than I do, and got your questions answered. So if you had people that had questions, could you introduce them to me or someone like me? Well, yeah, I could do that. Great. Congratulations, Garth. That's all you need to be able to be successful in this business. Right? So that's why that is so important, right? So now here's where we're at. So Garth says, okay, how do I get started? What are tell me about what it costs. How much money is it? Okay? Here's what I like to do. Well, Garth, you have a couple of different options and ways that you can get started. And I draw this on paper or I draw it on a whiteboard. Okay? A couple different options and ways that you can get started. And I draw a line and I say, first of all, we have the customer option. Okay? The customer option is $159. By the way, what I'm teaching you right now will completely change how people get started in your business if you understand what I'm about to share with you. This is probably one of the most crucial things I could share with you tonight if you really get what I'm about to share with you, okay? So, Garth, we have a customer option. It's $159. There's a one-time $99 fee to be able to get your DNA tested. And I got to tell you, the value is incredible here. I mean, it's incredible because not only do you get pre-trition, which is our cellular cleanse. It's a cellular cleanse. If you were to add up all the ingredients in it, just the pre-trition alone, the ingredients in it, you were to buy them, it cost you $765. And not only that, but you're going to get a 35-page wellness report that tells you all aspects of what you're doing here. So you're going to get all of this, and the DNA test, right? The swab of the DNA test. You're getting all of this, and you're paying $259. So it's an incredible deal. Some DNA tests are $400 to $500 a month is what the normal price is to get your DNA tested, but we do it for $99 for you. So basically, you're getting about $1,250 of value for $259. Okay, so that's our customer option, and then after that, it's $159 a month, or approximately $5 a day. Right? It's the cost of coffee, and you know what, Garth? Healthcare is kind of one of those things. You're either going to pay for it now or you're going to pay for it later. I promise you, if you don't pay now, it's going to be a lot more expensive later. So $5 a day to be able to ensure that you are supporting those dirty genes that are linked to major illness and disease. I mean, I can't even imagine not taking this product now, knowing that I have a SNP that's associated with heart disease, and knowing all these ingredients are there that are supporting my heart. I can't even imagine not taking this before. So that's the customer option. Now, if you're looking at the business, there's 3 different options. The first option is what I call a toe dipper. It's somebody that just wants to dip their toe in the water. They can buy 3 kits. And the cool thing is they're going to give you 15% off of each kit. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but it's $407 to be able to buy this package. And this is really good, Garth, for a husband and wife, because both of you are going to want to do it. And then that gives you at least 1 extra kit to be able to share and demo your business. And so it's kind of like, I want to dip my toe into the water, see how it feels. And then we have the middle of the road package, right? It's kind of the, I just want to maybe have a few extra kits on hand to be able to start really building my business. And so, I call that the middle of the road, and that's a 5-pack. And the 5-pack is, you guys help me out here, I don't know what it is, $649. And what's cool is you get 20% off of each pack. What I've learned is having some extra kits on hand really helps, because when you talk to people about it, and you're in the process of them making a decision, when you pull the kit out and you actually open it up and you pull those swabs out, they're 100% more likely to do the swab right on the spot, right then and there, when you have the kit in hand. So if you really want to build a decent sized business, having a 5-pack is definitely going to help. And then we have the all-in pack, okay? And Garth, this isn't for everybody, okay? This is for the people that are serious. This is for the people that want to go fast. This is for the people that want to go create a full-time income in as short of period of time is possible. But it's not for everybody. Now, because you're going to have some extra kits, and what's cool is if you go keep even 2 of those kits for yourself and you go sell the other 8, not that you're going to get all your money back, but you're going to make about $500 right out of the gate profitability by moving those kits.
And you've got 8 mailbox dancing videos.
8 mailbox. And here's the cool thing. I don't know of any business, Garth, that I've ever started ever before that you could go start a business, you could go move your inventory right away, get 100% of your money back, be $500 profitable, and you can do that within your first month that you get started. So here's the thing, Garth. It doesn't matter to me how somebody gets started. They can start off as a customer, or they can start off as a toe dipper, or they can go all in, or you can go somewhere in between. So my question to you, Garth, is this. Do you see yourself as a toe dipper? Do you see yourself as somebody that would go all in if you're going to do this? Or do you see yourself as somewhere right in the middle?
I think for where I'm at right now, I'm all in. I'm excited about this. I want to see what I can do with it.
What I just shared with you is I've now put a customer in a totally different category that is not associated with the business. It's not a choice unless they come back to me and say, well, can I start just on a single pack? There's a reason why I drew a line to separate it from the business packs. Because to me, if you're going to build a business here, buying a single pack doesn't do anybody justice. The only reason somebody should buy a single pack is if that's all they could afford, period. Because you need to have some extra kits on hand to be able to share and demo and to be able to swab somebody when they're ready to get started. So you can do a mailbox dancing video. Treat it like a business. It'll pay you like a business. So for me, I don't even put that on the table as an option. Some of you, you're just saying when they're ready to get started, great, I'm going to send you my link and you just decide which packs you want and that's it. And guess what? People are always going to, by default, choose the path of least resistance. And I can look at some of your lines and I can tell you that every single person that came in this line is 159s. Do you know what that tells me? That is either A, your belief system, and you haven't yet raised your belief system to understand that these will actually dramatically improve your overall success in your business, or it's where you started. So because you started here, that's all you're selling. And if you learn the language, value-add language that I'm teaching you right now, and you learn how to present this, it will change everything. I don't remember, unless it was a customer, the last time someone started a business with me that bought a single pack, unless they just couldn't afford it. That's the only time. Because to me, when I present it is, look, we've got our customer option, it's $159, and if you're looking to do the business, there's 3 different options, 3-pack, 5-pack, and 10-pack. And toe dip, by the way, nobody ever wants to be called a toe dipper. I call it that for a reason because no one ever wants to be a toe dipper. And so a lot of times they'll default to the middle pack. And then you get the ones that are like, well, look, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go all in. And I firmly believe that if I start a line with somebody who starts with a 10 pack and then presents this way and sells 3, 5s, and 10s, not only is their business going to grow dramatically faster because you're going to see more volume, but these people that are buying 3, 5s, and 10 packs, 3, 5s, and 10s are going to move those kits faster because they have them in hand. They're going to outgrow the single packs all day long. So to me, that's how I like to collect decisions. Not close. I said closer. That's how I like to collect decisions, is I like to basically just present the 4 different options. And then I just say, here's what I say. It doesn't matter to me how you get started, Garth. The only thing that matters is that you get started.